Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are exploring the staggering, entirely hidden complexity behind one of life's absolute simplest pleasures.
Oh, yeah. It really is a simple pleasure.
Right, like think about it. You walk into a neighborhood joint, you smell the roasted garlic, the bacon crust, the melting mozzarella, and you just order a slice of pizza.
Yeah, you get a warm cardboard box, you pay, and you eat.
Exactly. It feels incredibly simple, almost primal, you know?
Right.
Mhm.
But we have a stack of documents on the table today that proves that simple slice of pizza is actually the end product of a massive, meticulously engineered system.
Yes, it is.
It's a logistical marvel that we honestly completely take for granted. Because when you look at the sheer volume of standard operating procedures required to safely and profitably run a kitchen,
This wise.
it completely shatters that illusion of a couple of cooks just, tossing dough in the back.
Yeah, totally. And our sources for today give us an unprecedented, completely unfiltered look under the hood of a real functioning establishment.
Right.
We have the internal operations documents, the employee handbooks, the daily procedure checklists, the highly guarded recipe books, and the incredibly detailed HACCP plans.
Food safety plans, yeah.
Exactly. And this is all from Tank's Pizza.
Which is a real place.
Yes, a Black-owned business established in 2011, located right in the heart of San Antonio, Texas.
Which means we are looking at the operational DNA of a business that has survived and thrived for well over a decade.
In a notoriously tough industry.
Right. One of the most volatile industries on the planet. And looking at these documents, you realize they didn't survive by accident.
No, they did not.
The paperwork covers literally everything, from the exact to the egogram weight of a mushroom topping to, even emergency protocols for a deliberate biological contamination.
Okay, let's unpack this, because while you, the listener, might just see a warm pizza box on a Friday night, you are about to discover a world of militaristic precision.
Scientific temperature control.
Yes, and intricate supply chain logistics that make that pizza possible in the first place. And it all starts before the oven is even turned on, right in the recipe book.
Nothing is left to chance there.
Absolutely nothing. Let's look at the exact scaling of their pizzas. Because if you order a personal 10-inch pizza at Pank's, the kitchen doesn't just, grab a handful of dough based on feeling.
No, not at all.
That pizza requires exactly 7 ounces of dough.
Right.
It requires exactly 2 ounces of marinara sauce. And it is topped with exactly 8 ounces of shredded mozzarella.
What's fascinating here is why this strict portioning is the absolute bedrock of their survival.
Yeah, why is it so strict?
Because in the hospitality industry, consistent weights are really the only mechanism you have to control your margins.
Ah, right, the economics.
Exactly. If a line cook is in a rush or just feeling generous and puts 10 ounces of cheese on a personal pizza instead of 8,
Doesn't seem like a big deal.
right, it doesn't seem like a crisis for one single pie. But multiply that 2-ounce loss across 200 pizzas on a busy Friday night.
Oh, wow.
Over a month, over a year. That easily wipes out the entire profit margin for the business.
That's incredible.
But it goes beyond just the economics, too. It's about the psychological contract with the customer.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
Well, if you order a pizza today and it is a perfect balance of sauce to cheese, you expect that exact same ratio when you come back next month.
Yeah, that's true. I want exactly what I had last time.
Right. And without a scale dictating every single move, you simply cannot guarantee that replication.
And the scaling gets wild, too. I have to highlight my absolute favorite item in this recipe book.
Oh, the calzone.
Yes, they have a massive calzone on the menu called the War Zone.
Incredible name.
First of all, incredible name, right? But the specs are just mind-boggling. To make one single War Zone calzone, the recipe demands a staggering 30 ounces of dough.
30 ounces.
Think about the fizzes of that. That is almost 2 pounds of raw dough that someone has to stretch, fill, and perfectly fold.
Yeah.
Plus 8 ounces of marinara sauce and 24 ounces of shredded mozzarella.
For one item.
Yes. And if you want add-ons, say pepperoni or bell peppers, the recipe mandates exactly 2 ounces per ingredient.
And implementing that kind of mathematical rigor requires constant vigilance from the staff. I mean, it's not just the food, it's the entire staging area.
Right, which brings us to the station checklists. Because if you look at the window and expo stations...
That's the area where the finished food is boxed up, right?
Exactly, where it's handed to the customer.
Yeah.
Imagine you are standing at that expo window on a Friday night. Tickets are printing nonstop. People are staring at you.
It's like pure chaos.
Right. And yet the procedural checklist requires you to constantly ensure small, medium, and large boxes are fully stocked.
Yeah.
The marinara and basil oil are refilled, and you have to flawlessly execute FIFO.
Oh, man, FIFO.
Mm.
Anyone who has worked in a kitchen knows that enforcing FIFO, which is first in, first out during a dinner rush, is just a logistical nightmare.
Because you're so busy.
Right. It's human nature to just grab the stack of fresh pizza boxes that the delivery guy just dropped off and put them right on top of the pile.
Right. It's faster.
Exactly. But FIFO dictates you have to pull the older boxes out, put the new ones on the bottom, and restock.
So the old ones get used first.
Yes. Same with the basil oil. You can't just top off a squeeze bottle.
Mm-hmm.
You have to rotate the product so the older stock is used first to prevent spoilage.
That's so tedious.
It requires a level of discipline that has to override the chaos of the moment.
Honestly, that discipline is just the warm-up for the food safety protocols.
Oh, absolutely.
We have Tank's Pizza's HACCP documents in front of us. And for anyone familiar with hazard analysis and critical control points, you know this is where the restaurant essentially turns into a biosafety lab.
Yeah, looking at these pages, the scientific rigor required just to legally sell a meal is intense.
It really is.
It's applied microbiology happening right next to a 500-degree oven. The entire system is designed to identify exactly where a biological, chemical, or physical hazard could occur in the workflow.
And then stop it.
Right. Put a hard critical limit in place to stop it dead.
Right.
Take their temperature protocols, for instance. The document outlines strict cooling critical limits to prevent the multiplication of spore-forming and toxin-forming bacteria.
Like what kind of bacteria?
We are talking about severe, day-ruining pathogens. Things like Bacillus cereus or Salmonella.
Because if they make a massive, say, 10-gallon batch of hot marinara sauce, they can't just toss that giant pot in the walk-in fridge and clock out for the night, right?
Absolutely not. A vat of hot liquid that large placed into a cold environment will insulate itself.
Oh, I see.
The edges might cool down, sure, but the center will stay warm for hours. It turns into the perfect incubator for bacterial colonies.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So the Tank's pizza critical limit demands a highly monitored race against the clock. The food must be cooled from 135 degrees Fahrenheit down to 70 degrees Fahrenheit within the first 2 hours.
Okay.
Then it has to drop from 70 degrees down to 41 degrees or lower within the next 4 hours.
And the staff has to prove it, right? They literally have to use sanitized, calibrated probe thermometers. They take the temperature and write down the starting time, the finishing time, and the exact temperature on a cooling temperature log.
Everything is documented.
And if they miss that window, if it takes, say, 2.5 hours to hit 70 degrees,
The corrective action is brutal.
they throw it away, all of it.
Yep.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. I was reading through the chemical hazard section,
Oh, yeah.
and I expected to see rules about not spraying bleach near the dough, stuff like that. But they have a strict rule against using copper or brass equipment.
Yeah, that surprises a lot of people.
Why does the metal matter?
It's pure chemistry. The manual specifies that foods with a pH below 6, which includes highly acidic items like vinegar, fruit juice, or those massive batches of tomato sauce we just talked about,
Right.
they cannot come into contact with copper or brass. The acid will literally break down the metal and leach it directly into the food.
Wow.
Yeah, causing immediate chemical contamination and heavy metal poisoning.
That is wild. I also found a protocol in the chemical hazard section for French fries.
The Fryer rules, yeah.
I'm looking at this thinking, why on earth are French fries treated like a chemical threat?
Right.
It says the fryers can never exceed 347 degrees Fahrenheit. The fries must be cooked to a golden yellow, not dark brown, and the staff must never overcrowd the fryer. What is the actual danger there?
They are managing a compound called acrylamide.
Acrylamide.
Yeah, it's a chemical that naturally forms when starchy foods are subjected to high-temperature cooking, like frying or baking. It's considered a potential carcinogen.
Oh, wow.
So if a cook overcrowds the fryer basket because they have 10 orders waiting, the oil temperature violently drops and then surges to recover.
I've seen that happen.
Right. That fluctuation, along with cooking the fries until they are dark brown, actively encourages the formation of acrylamide.
So it's not just about taste.
No, the line cooks aren't just making a side dish. They are actively suppressing a chemical reaction.
It's wild to think about that level of chemistry happening while someone is yelling for a side of ranch dressing.
Totally.
But as intense as the biological and chemical hazards are, there is a whole section of this HACCP plan under the category of vulnerability and food terrorism.
Oh, the defense plan.
Food terrorism. At a local pizza shop in San Antonio, I mean, it sounds like something out of a spy thriller.
It does sound theatrical, but it is a very real mandate from the FDA. Establishments have to account for the intentional, malicious ruin of their food supply.
So they're planning for sabotage.
Yes, you have to consider outside actors, disgruntled employees, or malicious competitors who might want to trigger a public health crisis to ruin the business.
And Tank's Pizza doesn't just have a theoretical paragraph about this. They have mandatory preventative measures.
Real protocols.
Yeah. They have to strictly vet employees, maintain surveillance cameras covering all the prep areas, and ensure all hazardous cleaning chemicals are locked in a secure cabinet.
And the mock scenarios.
Right, they even have to run mock scenarios.
Imagine that staff meeting. They have to actively role-play their defense action plans. Like, what do we do if someone tries to poison the flour supply?
It's crazy.
It highlights the immense, almost crushing burden of responsibility placed on a restaurant operator. They are legally, financially, and ethically responsible for the absolute safety of every single person who walks through those doors.
Which naturally brings us to the human beings actually executing all this math and science.
The staff.
The pressure placed on the staff from the very first second a customer walks in is palpable. Let's look at the customer service standard operating procedures.
They're tight.
According to the manual, hosts or hostesses must greet guests within 60 seconds of their arrival. But the in-person customer service protocol tightens that even further.
Yeah.
They are mandated to greet customers within 5 seconds of entry with a smile and a warm welcome.
And consider the phone protocol, too. It must be answered within 3 rings using a very specific, standardized script.
Right. Thank you for calling Tank's Pizza.
Exactly. Thank you for calling Tank's Pizza. This is so-and-so. How can I assist you today?
Yeah.
Put yourself in their shoes for a second.
To what?
You are in the weeds. You've got 3 tables waiting for drinks. The expo window is calling for a runner, and the bell on the door chimes.
You have 5 seconds.
You have 5 seconds to drop the stress from your face, turn around, and deliver a warm, hospitable welcome. It is an incredible psychological performance.
It really is. And unpacking the employee handbook itself gives us a stark, unromantic look at the realities of working in this industry.
Yeah, it's tough.
It outlines a strict at-will employment policy. It notes a 30-day probationary period for all new hires, where management heavily scrutinizes their performance before they even enter a standard employment classification.
And if we look objectively at the compensation and benefits section, it paints a very clear picture of the economic realities of the hospitality sector.
Yeah, it's pretty bare bones.
There are no paid sick days. There are no paid vacation days. There are no paid personal days offered. Federal and state minimums apply for unpaid leave, of course.
Yeah.
But the day-to-day reality for these workers is simple. If you aren't on the floor, you aren't getting paid.
Right. And the rules for conduct are absolute. The dress code specifically states that clothes must be clean and in good shape. No holes or tears.
None.
And there's a mandatory rule written in all caps. All team members are obligated to wear the Tank's shirt.
Right.
But I have to ask, in an industry that is notoriously plagued by high turnover and labor shortages, isn't a zero-tolerance policy on dress code and conduct essentially shooting themselves in the foot?
It seems like it, right?
Yeah. How do you enforce that when you are desperate for staff?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you can see why they have no choice but to be draconian about the standard.
Okay, lay it out.
We just spent the first half of this discussion talking about the massive risks of biological contamination, chemical leaching, and profit-destroying portion control.
Right.
A restaurant is a house of cards. If you allow a culture of lax rules to develop, even something as simple as letting an employee wear a torn shirt, it bleeds into the operational culture.
Oh, I see. A slippery slope.
Yes. Suddenly, someone doesn't bother to label the cooling marinara, or they don't wash their hands after handling cash.
Yeah.
If one person fails, it can literally ruin a decade-old reputation overnight.
Or cause a public health emergency.
Exactly. Strict accountability is the only armor a restaurant has.
That makes a lot of sense. The manual even extends that control to the digital world.
The social media rules.
Yes, their social media policy strictly forbids employees from passing off personal views as representing the company or disparaging another organization's products.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
Because in a hyper-local business environment, one rogue tweet from a cashier can tank your community standing.
Easily.
So what happens when an employee does mess up? When they are late or they botch a food safety log, we have a copy of their restaurant employee warning notice template.
It's
It outlines a very unforgiving 3-strike system. The first write-up is a formal warning. The second is a suspension. And the third is termination.
It's swift, and it has to be.
Yeah,
The stakes are just incredibly high. And those stakes aren't confined to the kitchen or the dining room either.
right.
They extend right out the back door to the loading dock.
Yes. Let's talk about the unseen logistics and the supply chain, because when the delivery truck arrives from the distributor, the staff doesn't just hold the door open and wave the boxes inside.
Oh, no.
The manual outlines a chaotic, high-stakes receiving process.
It's essentially an active defense perimeter.
Wow, yeah.
The receiving SOPs require staff to meet the truck with their calibrated thermometers. They have to physically probe and check the internal temperature of frozen and chilled goods right there on the dock.
Think about a Texas summer.
Exactly.
If a pallet of raw beef arrives and it's been sitting in a poorly refrigerated truck, that is a massive biological hazard.
They cannot let it cross the threshold.
While they are probing the meat, they also have to visually inspect the deliveries for any signs of pest infestation, broken seals, or crushed packaging.
Right.
And simultaneously, they are cross-checking every single item against the purchase orders and the invoices to make sure they aren't being overcharged or shorted by the vendor.
It's intense multitasking.
It's quality control, accounting, and biosafety happening all at once on a hot loading dock.
And we know supply chains are imperfect. Things inevitably go wrong.
Yeah, what happens then?
When a delivery contains poor quality items, say a case of bruised bell peppers or a box of thawing chicken, the manual dictates a very specific chain of corrective actions.
Okay.
The staff is required to take photographic evidence of the damaged goods, immediately inform the vendor, and then physically quarantine the rejected products in a completely separate area.
So a busy line cook doesn't accidentally grab them.
Exactly.
Ugh.
Then they have to actively apply for credits so the business doesn't absorb the financial loss.
And once the acceptable food actually makes it inside, the storage rules are just as intense. I was fascinated by the specific rules for the walk-in freezers and refrigerators.
The storage hierarchy.
Yes, there is a universal, non-negotiable rule that raw meat must always be stored at the bottom of the refrigerators.
It's essentially a gravity-based defense system.
That's a great way to put it. It prevents raw meat juices from accidentally dripping down onto ready-to-eat foods like fresh vegetables or the shredded mozzarella.
Right. And you'll notice another critical logistical rule. All food, without exception, must be kept at least 6 inches off the floor.
6 inches off the floor.
Mhm.
Now, part of that is purely mechanical, right? It makes it easier to mop and sanitize underneath the shelving units.
Yeah, that's part of it. But more importantly, it eliminates hiding spots.
Oh, for pests.
Exactly. It makes it incredibly difficult for pests, like rodents or insects, to access the food supply or build nests without being immediately spotted by the staff.
The 6-inch rule. The gravity-based meat storage. The 347-degree fryer limit. The 5-second greeting mandate. The 30 ounces of dough for the war zone.
It's a lot.
So what does this all mean? When we zoom out and look at all these documents together, it paints a picture that is almost exhausting to comprehend.
It really is.
It reminds us that the next time you walk into a local joint like Pank's Pizza, or any restaurant for that matter, you aren't just buying a disc of baked dough and cheese.
Yeah.
You are benefiting from an invisible, meticulously maintained system of intense science, ruthless logistics, and highly coordinated human effort.
This raises an important question about how we as a society perceive the service industry.
I think so too.
Because it is incredibly easy to sit at a table, complain about a slightly delayed water refill, and take a hot, safe meal entirely for granted.
We all do it.
But when you truly understand the staggering operational mastery required to simply keep a community fed, to shield them from invisible pathogens, and to keep the doors open month after month, year after year, it demands a profound level of respect for the people doing this work every single day.
It absolutely does. It completely changes the way you look at a menu.
Yeah?
And it leaves me with one final thought to mull over. If a neighborhood pizza shop requires this staggering level of standard operating procedures, multi-step checklists, and scientific risk mitigation just to function and survive a Friday night,
Right.
how much smoother might our own messy everyday lives run if we applied just a fraction of that procedural rigor to our personal goals and daily routines?